It was a scorching afternoon at the crowded West Side Plaza in Los Angeles when James Carter, a retired Marine with a prosthetic leg, eased his beat-up Ford pickup toward the last handicap parking spot. His blue permit dangled from the rearview mirror, glinting in the sun as he exhaled, relieved to snag a space near the entrance. Years of service had left him battered but proud, and this spot meant a rare moment of ease. Then, out of nowhere, a gleaming silver Bentley screeched around the corner, cutting him off with a vicious swerve. Tires squealed, rubber burned, and the luxury car stole his space in a heartbeat. James slammed his brakes, knuckles white, heart pounding as the driver's door swung open. Out strutted Vanessa Pierce, a wealthy socialite draped in Gucci, her heels stabbing the pavement like daggers. She tossed her platinum blonde hair and smirked, clutching a Louis Vuitton bag as if she owned the world. James rolled down his window, voice steady but firm. "Ma'am, that's a handicap spot. I need it." Vanessa froze, then laughed, a sharp, cruel cackle that echoed across the lot. "Oh, honey, get over it," she sneered, waving him off like a pesky fly. The crowd hushed, phones whipped out, tension crackling in the air. Suddenly, a low, smooth voice cut through the chaos. "Yo, you just stepped into the wrong game." Snoop Dogg emerged from the shadows, lanky and cool, eyes locked on Vanessa, ready to turn this showdown upside down. The air at West Side Plaza thickened with tension as Vanessa Pierce stood by her stolen handicap spot, her smug laughter still ringing out like a taunt across the asphalt jungle. James Carter, the retired Marine, sat in his creaky Ford pickup, his prosthetic leg a silent testament to battles fought and sacrifices made. He'd faced gunfire in Fallujah, but this, being mocked by a pampered princess in a Bentley, hit different. "Ma'am, I earned this spot," he said, voice low but edged with steel, the kind of tone that could quiet a platoon. Vanessa barely turned her head, her designer shades sliding down her nose as she sized him up like he was roadkill. "Earned it?" she spat, her voice dripping with venom. "Sweetie, I don't care if you crawled through the desert for it. This is LA. Money talks, and you're just noise." She flicked her wrist, dismissing him with a wave of her manicured claws, her $5,000 purse swinging like a trophy of her entitlement. The crowd around them froze, jaws dropping, phones trembling in hands as they recorded every second of this showdown. Whispers snaked through the onlookers. Did she just say that? She's got no shame. The heat of the LA sun amplifying the brewing storm. James's jaw clenched, his calloused hands gripping the wheel, but before he could fire back, Vanessa doubled down. She leaned toward his window, close enough for him to smell her overpriced perfume, and sneered, "What's next? You gonna cry to the VA about it? Boo-hoo, vet. Walk it off. Or, oh wait, I guess you can't." Her laugh erupted again, sharp and jagged, slicing through the stunned silence like a knife. A kid in the crowd gasped, "Yo, she's savage," while a woman nearby muttered, "This chick's begging for karma." Vanessa straightened up, tossing her platinum locks with a flourish, oblivious to the growing rumble of outrage. She strutted toward the plaza entrance, heels clicking like gunfire, acting like she'd just won the lottery instead of spitting on a hero's dignity. James's eyes narrowed, a flicker of fury breaking through his calm, but he held it together. Years of discipline keeping him steady. The crowd, though, was electric, buzzing with anticipation, phones zooming in as if they could sense the reckoning barreling down. Vanessa thought she'd owned the moment, thought her wealth and attitude made her untouchable. She didn't see Snoop Dogg leaning against his matte black Escalade, shades low, watching her every move like a lion stalking a clueless gazelle. His voice had already dropped that warning, "Yo, you just stepped into the wrong game." But she'd brushed it off, too arrogant to clock the danger. "Now, here's where you come in, fam. If you're vibing with this drama, Vanessa's ice-cold disrespect and James's quiet strength, drop a 1 in the comments and smash that subscribe button to catch how Snoop flips this script. If you're mad as hell at her entitlement, hit that like button to send some cosmic justice her way. Want a sneak peek at the chaos coming? Share this with your crew and tell us, what would you do if you were James right now? Stick around, because Snoop's about to light this up, and Vanessa's world is going to burn hotter than an LA wildfire. You won't believe what's dropping next, trust me. It's wilder than a Hollywood plot twist. The West Side Plaza parking lot was a pressure cooker, the LA sun beating down like a spotlight on a twisted stage. Vanessa Pierce had just unleashed her venom, laughing in James Carter's face after stealing his handicap spot, her words still hanging in the air like toxic smoke. Walk it off, or, oh wait, I guess you can't. James, the retired Marine, sat rigid in his battered Ford pickup, his prosthetic leg a silent badge of honor, his hands white-knuckling the wheel. The crowd around them was a live wire. Phones out, breaths held, eyes darting between the smug socialite and the vet she'd just humiliated. The asphalt shimmered with heat, but the real fire was about to ignite. Then, like a thunderclap rolling in from the Pacific, a figure stepped forward, cutting through the chaos with a presence that demanded attention. Snoop Dogg, all 6'4" of him, peeled away from his matte black Escalade, shades low, gold chains glinting like a warning. His lanky frame moved with a predator's grace, slow and deliberate, casting a shadow that swallowed Vanessa's designer glow. The crowd parted instinctively, a ripple of awe washing over them. That's Snoop! Oh, she's done for, as he stopped dead center, planting his Air Force Ones on the pavement like he owned it. Vanessa, mid-strut toward the plaza, froze, her heels skidding to a halt. She turned, tossing her platinum hair, and smirked. What's this? The peanut gallery got a mascot? James cracked a faint, knowing smile from his truck. He'd clocked Snoop the second he rolled up, a legend in the flesh. Vanessa, though? She was blind to the storm brewing. Snoop tilted his head, his voice sliding out smooth but sharp, like a blade wrapped in velvet. Yo, lady, you just dissed the wrong dude, in the wrong spot, at the wrong damn time. The words hit like a bass drop, low and heavy, vibrating through the lot. Vanessa blinked, then laughed, a high, brittle sound that cracked under the weight of his stare. Oh, please, she scoffed, stepping closer, her heels clicking like a countdown. What are you, some washed-up rapper playing hero? This is my turf, honey. The crowd gasped, a collective inhale that sucked the oxygen out of the scene. Snoop didn't flinch, his lips curled into a slow, dangerous grin, eyes narrowing behind his shades. Your turf? He drawled, taking a single step forward, towering over her petite frame. You parked your fancy little Bentley where a vet's supposed to roll, then ran your mouth like you bulletproof. Nah, fam, this ain't your turf no more. Vanessa's smirk twitched, a flicker of unease breaking through her Botox-smooth facade. She crossed her arms, clutching her purse tighter, but her voice stayed defiant. You don't scare me. I've got lawyers who'd eat you alive. Snoop chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound that rolled over the lot like distant thunder. Scare you? Ain't about that, princess. This about respect. And you just wrote a check your ass can't cash. He leaned in closer, his shadow swallowing her whole, his voice dropping to a whisper that carried like a gunshot. Stick around, because I'm about to remix this whole damn day. The crowd erupted in murmurs, phones trembling as they zoomed in. Vanessa's eyes widened, her arrogance teetering on the edge of collapse, while James watched, silent and steady, knowing the real show was just beginning. The Westside Plaza parking lot crackled with raw energy, the LA heat warping the air as Vanessa Pierce squared off against Snoop Dogg, her arrogance a live grenade waiting to blow. James Carter watched from his battered Ford pickup, his prosthetic leg resting heavy, his eyes locked on the showdown. Vanessa had just stolen his handicap spot and mocked him mercilessly. Walk it off, or I guess you can't. And now Snoop had stepped in, his smooth warning still echoing. You wrote a check your ass can't cash. The crowd encircled them, a ring of wide-eyed onlookers clutching phones, their whispers a low hum beneath the roaring tension. Vanessa, dripping in Gucci and entitlement, tossed her platinum hair and sneered at Snoop, her heels planted like she owned the pavement. Some washed-up rapper? She taunted, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. What's your plan, big shot? Rap me out of my spot? Snoop's grin widened, slow and lethal, his gold chains catching the sun as he loomed over her. Washed up, he said, his tone dripping with mock surprise, low and smooth like a bass line about to drop. Baby girl, I'm Snoop Dogg. Ain't no expiration date on this legend. The crowd erupted, a wave of gasps and stifled laughs rippling outward. Vanessa's smirk faltered, her shades slipping as she took a half step back, but she rallied fast, jutting her chin up. Oh, please, she fired back, voice rising to a shrill edge. You think that name means squat to me? I've got more clout in my pinky than you've got in your whole has-been career. She waved her $5,000 purse like a weapon, her manicured nails glinting like claws. James shook his head from the truck, a dry chuckle escaping him. She don't even know who she's messing with, he muttered, his marine grit steadying him through the chaos. The crowd leaned in, phones trembling as they zoomed in. Vanessa's eyes widened, her arrogance teetering on the edge of collapse, while James watched, silent and steady. knowing the real show was just beginning. The Westside Plaza parking lot crackled with raw energy, the LA heat warping the air as Vanessa Pierce squared off against Snoop Dogg, her arrogance a live grenade waiting to blow. James Carter watched from his battered Ford pickup, his prosthetic leg resting heavy, his eyes locked on the showdown. Vanessa had just stolen his handicap spot and mocked him mercilessly. Walk it off, or I guess you can't. And now Snoop had stepped in, his smooth warning still echoing, "You wrote a check your ass can't cash." The crowd encircled them, a ring of wide-eyed onlookers clutching phones, their whispers a low hum beneath the roaring tension. Vanessa, dripping in Gucci and entitlement, tossed her platinum hair and sneered at Snoop, her heels planted like she owned the pavement. "Some washed-up rapper?" she taunted, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "What's your plan, big shot? Rap me out of my spot?" Snoop's grin widened, slow and lethal, his gold chains catching the sun as he loomed over her. "Washed up?" he said, his tone dripping with mock surprise, low and smooth like a bass line about to drop. "Baby girl, I'm Snoop Dogg. Ain't no expiration date on this legend." The crowd erupted, a wave of gasps and stifled laughs rippling outward. Vanessa's smirk faltered, her shades slipping as she took a half step back, but she rallied fast, jutting her chin up. "Oh, please," she fired back, voice rising to a shrill edge. "You think that name means squat to me? I've got more clout in my pinky than you've got in your whole has-been career." She waved her $5,000 purse like a weapon, her manicured nails glinting like claws. James shook his head from the truck, a dry chuckle escaping him. "She don't even know who she's messin' with," he muttered, his marine grit steadying him through the chaos. The crowd leaned in, phones trembling as they caught every word. A teen in a Lakers jersey whispered, "She's toast, man," while a woman nearby hissed, "Keep talking, lady. Dig that hole deeper." Snoop took another step, his 6'4" frame swallowing her shadow, his shades reflecting her panicked eyes. "Clout, huh?" he said, voice dropping to a dangerous purr. "You parked in a vet spot, dissed a hero, and now you flexing like you untouchable. That's your clout? That's trash." Vanessa's lips twitched, her bravado cracking like thin ice. "You can't touch me," she snapped, but her voice quavered, betraying her. "I've got lawyers, money, more than you'll ever see." Snoop tilted his head, his grin turning cold, predatory. "Money don't buy respect, princess," he said, each word a hammer blow. "And you just pissed off the wrong dude on the wrong day." He leaned in, close enough for her to feel the weight of his presence, his breath cool against the LA heat. "You want to play gangster? I invented the game." The crowd held its breath, the air electric, as Vanessa's hands tightened on her purse, her eyes darting like a trapped animal's. She spat, "Do your worst," but her voice cracked, and Snoop's chuckle rumbled like thunder rolling in. "Oh, I will," he promised, his hand sliding to his pocket, fingers brushing his phone. "This ain't over till you learn," and class just started. The lot went dead silent, every eye on Snoop, waiting for the spark to ignite the inferno. The Westside Plaza parking lot was a battlefield, the LA sun blazing down as Vanessa Pierce's arrogance hung like gasoline fumes, ready to ignite. James Carter sat in his battered Ford pickup, his prosthetic leg a quiet witness to the chaos, watching Snoop Dogg dismantle Vanessa's world one smooth move at a time. She'd stolen his handicap spot, mocked his sacrifice. Walk it off, or I guess you can't. And now faced Snoop, who'd just promised, "This ain't over till you learn." Vanessa's eyes burned with defiance, her Gucci-clad frame trembling as she clutched her purse, spitting, "Do your worst." The crowd circled tighter, phones aloft, their breaths shallow, sensing the reckoning about to drop. Snoop's hand slid from his pocket, pulling out his phone with a flick of his wrist, his gold rings flashing like warning lights. "Aight, princess," he said, voice low and lethal. "Let's turn up the heat." He dialed, slow and deliberate, his shades hiding eyes that gleamed with intent. Vanessa scoffed, her heels clicking as she paced. "What, calling your posse? This is pathetic." But her voice cracked, and the crowd murmured, "She's shook. Snoop's got this," as he pressed the phone to his ear. "Yo, I need a tow truck, stat," he said, his tone casual but edged with steel. "Got a Bentley clogging up a vet's spot at Westside Plaza? Make it quick." Vanessa's jaw dropped, her platinum hair whipping as she spun toward him. "You wouldn't dare!" she shrieked, lunging forward, but Snoop sidestepped, cool as ice. The distant growl of an engine cut through the tension, a tow truck barreling into the lot like a beast unleashed. Its red paint gleamed under the sun, tires rumbling as it zeroed in on Vanessa's silver Bentley. She froze, her face twisting in horror, as the driver, a grizzled dude in a faded Dodgers cap, hopped out, sizing up the scene with a smirk. "Who's the genius parked illegal?" he called, voice rough as gravel. Snoop pointed. "That'd be her, fam. No permit, all attitude." The crowd erupted. Cheers, gasps, a kid yelling, "Get her ass!" as the driver hooked the tow cable to her car with a metallic clang. Vanessa screamed, "That's my Bentley. You can't touch it." She threw herself at the truck, clawing at the cable. But the driver shrugged. "City rules, lady. Step off or ride with it." Snoop wasn't done. He dialed again, his voice dropping to a growl. "West Side Management? Yeah, it's Snoop. You got a chick out here, harassing a disabled vet, acting like she owns the joint. You good with that?" A pause, then a crisp, "Hell no. Name?" Snoop grinned, eyeing Vanessa. "She's the one screaming by the towed Bentley. Ban her ass." Vanessa's eyes widened, her shriek piercing the air. "Ban me? I'm a VIP." But Snoop slid his phone back, folding his arms. "Not anymore, princess. You're canceled." The tow truck's engine roared, lifting her car skyward, and the crowd cheered as Vanessa's empire crumbled, inch by screeching inch, under Snoop's unrelenting justice. The West Side Plaza parking lot was a war zone, the LA heat pulsing as Vanessa Pierce's silver Bentley dangled from the tow truck's hook, a trophy of her crumbling ego. James Carter watched from his battered Ford pickup, his prosthetic legs steady, his eyes sharp as Snoop Dogg stood tall, arms crossed, his ban on Vanessa still ringing in the air. "You're canceled." The crowd buzzed, phones capturing every second, their cheers a wildfire spreading fast. Vanessa, wild-eyed and unhinged, yanked her phone from her purse, her manicured nails stabbing the screen. "I'm calling the cops," she screeched, voice shrill enough to shatter glass. "You're all going down, harassment, theft, everything." Snoop chuckled, low and dark. "Go ahead, princess. Dial 'em up." The tow truck's engine growled, her car swaying, and she spun toward James, jabbing a finger. "You too, vet. You think you're some hero? You're nothing." Sirens wailed in the distance, red and blue lights flashing like a storm rolling in. Vanessa's lips curled into a triumphant sneer, her heels clicking as she strutted toward the arriving cruiser, convinced salvation was hers. Two cops stepped out, Officer Ramirez, a stocky vet with a no-nonsense squint, and Officer Lee, a wiry rookie with a buzz cut. The crowd hushed, tension spiking as Vanessa launched her attack. "Arrest them," she demanded, pointing at Snoop. "He's stealing my car, threatening me. This is a crime." Ramirez's gaze flicked to Snoop, then froze, his jaw tightening. Lee's eyes widened, a grin tugging at his lips. "Hold up," Ramirez muttered. "That's Snoop Dogg." Vanessa waved a dismissive hand. "I don't care who he is. He's a thug. Lock him up." But the officers didn't budge. Ramirez scanned the scene, the tow truck, the handicap sign, James's permit dangling in his truck, and turned to Vanessa, voice flat. "You parked in a handicap spot, no permit?" Her smirk faltered, her breath hitching. I was just running in," she stammered, clutching her purse. Lee stepped forward, peering at her Bentley. "That's a towable offense, ma'am. And you're yelling at Snoop Dogg, the guy who funds vet charities?" The crowd snickered, a wave of stifled laughs breaking the silence. Ramirez pulled out his ticket book, pen clicking like a gunshot. "Illegal parking obstructing a tow. Big fines coming your way." Vanessa's face flushed crimson, her shriek piercing the air. "You can't ticket me. I'm the victim." Snoop tilted his head, shades low. "Victim? Nah, you the villain, fam." The officers burst into laughter, Ramirez shaking his head as he scribbled, "Lady, you called us to bust Snoop? You played yourself." Vanessa's world imploded, her arrogance drowning in the flashing lights as James watched, a quiet nod of respect passing to Snoop. "Yo, this is getting crazy, right? If Vanessa's meltdowns got you hyped, smash that like button and drop a 6 in the comments. Let's see how many of y'all are Team Snoop. If you're raging at her entitlement, hit subscribe and tell us what's the wildest punishment she deserves next. Share this with your squad. Next part's gonna drop bombs you won't see coming. Will Snoop seal her fate? Stick around, 'cause this LA saga's just heating up. The West Side Plaza parking lot was a smoldering aftermath. Vanessa Pierce's silver Bentley, now a fading memory towed into the LA haze. Her banshee-like shrieks silenced by the flashing red and blue of the cop cruiser pulling away. Officer Ramirez had slapped a stack of tickets on her windshield, his parting words, You played yourself," still ringing as she stood, humiliated, clutching her purse like a lifeline. James Carter leaned back in his battered Ford pickup, prosthetic leg resting heavy, watching the chaos settle. Snoop Dogg stood nearby, shades low, gold chains glinting, his victory over Vanessa sealed with the tow truck's roar and the plaza's ban. The crowd lingered, phones still rolling, their murmurs a mix of awe and disbelief. Snoop shut her down. She's toast, as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the asphalt. James exhaled, running a hand over his buzzed head, his relief tinged with exhaustion. His old truck had coughed its last breath days ago, borrowed wheels barely getting him here, and now he faced a grim reality. No ride home, just a long limp on a bad leg. Snoop caught the shift in his posture, the faint wince as James adjusted his prosthetic and stepped closer, his lanky frame cutting through the fading light. Yo, soldier, you good? He asked, voice smooth but probing. James chuckled, dry and weary. Been better. Truck's dead and I ain't hoofing it on this. He tapped his leg, the metal clinking faintly. Snoop's eyes narrowed, a flicker of something fierce passing through them. Respect, anger, resolve. Without a word, Snoop pulled out his phone, fingers dancing over the screen, his gold rings flashing like sparks. James frowned. What you up to now? Snoop didn't answer, just smirked. That slow, dangerous grin that had unraveled Vanessa. Minutes ticked by, the crowd thinning, when a low rumble rolled in, a deep, throaty growl, cutting through the LA traffic hum. Heads turned as a jet-black Dodge Ram, fresh off the lot, roared into the plaza, its chrome rims gleaming like a crown under the streetlights. The driver hopped out, a wiry guy in a Snoop Dogg tour shirt, tossing a set of keys to the legend himself. Snoop caught them midair, dangling them in front of James. Your new ride, fam. James's breath caught, his hand freezing midair as he stared at the keys, then the truck, loaded, spotless, a beast built for a king. Snoop, I can't take this, he stammered, voice cracking, eyes wide with disbelief. Snoop clapped a massive hand on his shoulder, grounding him. Nah, you earned this 10 times over, soldier. You fought for this country. Took hits I can't even imagine. Ain't no way you struggling while she... He jerked his head toward Vanessa's empty spot. Flaunts her trash. James's throat tightened, his fingers trembling as he gripped the keys, the weight of Snoop's gesture sinking in. Man, I don't even know, he started, but Snoop cut him off. Don't say nothing. Drive it. James slid into the driver's seat, the engine roaring to life, a new chapter igniting as Vanessa's world burned out in the rear view. The Westside Plaza parking lot lay quiet now, a battlefield after the war. The echoes of Vanessa Pierce's downfall swallowed by the LA dusk. Her silver Bentley was long gone, towed into oblivion, her banshee screams reduced to a memory as Officer Ramirez's cruiser vanished with her stack of tickets. James Carter sat in his new jet-black Dodge Ram, the engine's low growl a stark contrast to the rusted heap he'd rolled in on, his prosthetic leg resting easy for the first time in days. Snoop Dogg leaned against his matte black Escalade, shades low, a king surveying his triumph. The crowd had dispersed, but their phones had already unleashed a digital storm, clips of Vanessa's meltdown exploding across the internet like wildfire through dry brush. Within hours, the footage hit critical mass. Twitter lit up with hashtags, Cheer Parking Lot Queen, Charge Snoop Saves the Day, Charge Carmelet, trending nationwide as millions watched Vanessa's Gucci-clad collapse. Entitled LA Diva Steals Vet's Spot, Gets Owned by Snoop Dogg, screamed one viral headline, while another dubbed her America's Most Hated Karen. Her smug taunts, walk it off or I guess you can't, played on loop, her face a meme of entitlement gone wrong. Inside her sleek Hollywood Hills penthouse, Vanessa sat frozen, her phone buzzing like a hornet's nest. Her inbox overflowed, not with deals or VIP invites, but with hate mail and canceled contracts. A call from her assistant broke the silence, voice quaking. Vanessa, the board's freaking out. Your name's poison. Investors are bailing. They're dropping you as CEO. Her stomach dropped, her manicured hands trembling as she whispered, This can't be real. But it was. Her empire was ash, torched by her own arrogance. Across town, in a dimly lit diner on Crenshaw, Snoop slid into a booth, scrolling through the chaos on his phone. The video had racked up 25 million views, comments brutal and unrelenting. She messed with the wrong vet and the wrong legend. Snoop just buried her career. R.I.P. He smirked, sipping a Coke, while James sat across, cradling a coffee, the keys to his new truck still surreal in his grip. Man, this is nuts, James said, shaking his head, voice rough with disbelief. 1 minute she's laughing in my face, next she's roadkill, and I'm driving this beast. Snoop's grin widened, gold teeth flashing. That's the game, soldier. You disrespect a hero, you get checked. Hard. Vanessa's fall was relentless. Clients ghosted, sponsors fled. Her socialite status a smoking ruin. She vanished from the spotlight, drowning in scandal. Her penthouse a gilded cage of regret. Meanwhile, James fired up the Dodge Ram, its roar cutting through the night as he pulled onto the freeway, the LA skyline sprawling ahead. The weight of years, war, loss, struggle, lifted, replaced by a road wide open, paved by Snoop's justice. Snoop watched him go, then slid into his Escalade, the city humming around him. Vanessa's lesson was carved in stone: cross the wrong line, and the streets hit back, fast, fierce, and final. For James, it was a new dawn. For her, a brutal dusk she'd never outrun. Imagine it's March 21st, 2025, and the streets of Los Angeles hum with the same restless energy we saw at West Side Plaza. James Carter's story echoes louder than ever in a world where tech tracks every move. Cameras catching Vanessa Pierce's meltdown would stream live on X. Hashtags like #Justice for James trending as AI amplifies the outrage. Snoop Dogg's intervention, a blend of old-school grit and modern clout, reminds us that respect still matters, even when drones deliver packages and self-driving cars zip by. The lesson cuts deep. Entitlement can crumble fast in a connected age, where one viral moment, Vanessa's cruel laugh, James's quiet strength, shifts fates overnight. We learn that heroes like James, forged in sacrifice, deserve more than a parking spot. They deserve a society that fights for them. Vanessa's fall in 2025 would be swifter. Her boardroom exile broadcast in 4K, a cautionary tale for a generation obsessed with status. Snoop's gift of that Dodge Ram? It's a beacon, proof that compassion can roar louder than chaos. A reminder that in a future of algorithms and automation, human decency still holds power. This story teaches us to stand up, to call out wrong, and to lift up those who've given everything. Because in 2025, the stakes feel higher, the spotlight hotter, and the echoes of justice farther reaching. So here's the heartbeat of it. James Carter's road ahead shines bright. Let's rally behind him. Drop a comment below. Tell us how his resilience moves you, how you'd cheer him on. Share this tale with your crew. Amplify his win. For James, the next step's clear. Keep driving that Ram, head high, inspiring vets everywhere to claim their space. Stand with him, because heroes don't just survive, they rise, and we're here to fuel that fire.